management, it's kind of like the hidden engine of every single company. If it starts to sputter, the whole business can grind to a halt. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this super critical function and show you why it's so much more than just, well, paying the bills. Just think about it for a second. A really big company might have thousands of suppliers. So how on earth do they manage that constant, overwhelming flood of bills coming in every day? The answer, of course, is a really smart, carefully designed process, and we're about to break it all down. And to make this all real and easy to follow, we're going to tag along with a new accountant. His name is Jose. He's just landed his first job at this really cool, sustainable company that builds bicycles and e-scooters. We'll just call it the Bike Company for short. So meet Jose. He's fresh out of college with a business degree, he's super ambitious, and he's been assigned to a really important department, Payables Management, or what you might know as Accounts Payable. This is where all the company's money goes out the door, so getting it right is absolutely crucial. So what kind of world is Jose stepping into? Well, the bike company is constantly buying parts and materials, steel for frames, rubber for tires, all the electronics. And that means there's a relentless stream of invoices coming in. His main job? To track every single one and make sure it gets processed perfectly. At its core, payables management is basically the command center for all the money a company spends. It creates this complete financial picture of every transaction with every supplier. It gives the company total control and visibility, which you have to run things well. We can actually break Jose's job down to 4 key areas. The biggest chunk, you'll see, is account management, just making sure all the supplier information is spot on. Then there's payment processing, that's, actually sending the money. Supplier analytics helps the company see who their best partners are. And finally, correspondence covers all the official communication. So, it's his very first day, and Jose gets his first assignment. The bike company just signed a big deal with a new supplier they're really excited about, called Tireless Tires. But before a single dollar can be paid, Jose has to set them up properly in the company's system. And this brings us to a really important idea. The business partner. It's a super flexible concept. See, a business partner is just any person or company you do business with. So, Tireless Tires is a supplier, right? But what if, down the road, the bike company sells them some old equipment? Then they'd also be a customer. This system handles both roles, no problem. Okay, so to get Tireless Tires set up, Jose just has to follow 3 mandatory steps. It's a really logical flow. First, he picks a category, then he gives them a role, and finally, he decides on a grouping. This structure makes sure all the important info is captured from day 1. Let's look at that first step, choosing a category. Is the business partner a single person, like a landlord, or a whole group, like an association, or is it an organization? Well, since Tireless Tires is a company, Jose knows to select organization. Easy enough. All right, a few days go by, Jose did his job. He got Tireless Tires set up perfectly in the system, and just in time too, because the very first invoice for a big batch of new tires has just landed on his desk. Now the real fun begins, as Jose moves into the next phase, processing the payment. You can think of every invoice as going on a little journey. It's a clear, step-by-step process. It starts the moment the invoice arrives and gets entered in the system. After any checks or corrections, it gets queued up for payment. Once the money is sent, a confirmation goes out, and boom, the journey is complete. But before we can really understand how Jose processes this thing, we need to understand the invoice itself. You can think of it like a short story about a financial transaction. So, we're going to dissect it and see exactly what information it's telling us. Every single invoice is split into different parts. The first part, right at the top, is called the header. This section holds all the big picture information that applies to the whole transaction. The who, what, and when of the bill. The header has to include some key details, like the invoice date, the posting date, what kind of document it is, which company is being billed, and the currency. And that last one's important. A single invoice can only ever have one currency. Okay, so if the header is the big picture, the line items are where things get really interesting. This is the detailed breakdown of all the costs. This is the part of the invoice that tells you exactly what you are paying for, line by line. And here is where we find the most critical data. The general ledger account, which is just a fancy way of saying a specific bucket for the expense, the debit and credit amounts, and all the nitty-gritty tax info. This is where every single penny is accounted for, making it the real heart of the financial posting.
No, pretty much everything we've talked about so far has been the traditional way of doing things. But Jose's job, and jobs like his, are changing, and they're changing fast, all thanks to amazing technologies like artificial intelligence. So let's take a quick peek at how AI is completely shaking up this entire process.
The difference is, well, it's night and day. The old manual process is slow, and let's be honest, it's easy to make mistakes. But with AI, invoices can be scanned and processed automatically, cutting the cycle time from days down to just a few hours. This frees up smart people like Jose to focus on more strategic work.
You know, Jose's work might seem like it's all about tiny details, numbers, and dates, but it's fundamentally important to the overall health of the entire business. So let's zoom out for a second and see why this all matters so much. When you do payables management right, it actually supports the three main pillars of any healthy business. First, paying your suppliers on time builds trust and makes those relationships stronger. Second, having accurate data ensures your financial reports are solid. And third, having an efficient process just keeps the whole operation humming along smoothly. So Jose's journey really shows us that payables management isn't just about cutting checks. No, it's about building trust with your partners, making sure the company is financially healthy, and just keeping the whole business moving forward. And that leads us to one final thought. We've seen what it looks like when everything works perfectly. But what do you think happens when this process breaks down? What are the real ripple effects of late payments, bad data, and broken relationships with suppliers? Definitely something to think about.
All right,